Hi guys, in this video I'm gonna talk about IMO preparation for grade 1. So in IMO, they have logical reasoning questions as well as mathematical reasoning questions. So for preparing for logical reasoning, you should have this reasoning workbook. This is by MTG grade 1. And for mathematical reasoning, you should have this workbook. This is normal IMO Olympiad workbook, and this is reasoning workbook. Okay, so let me quickly show you the content of the mathematical reasoning workbook. So the syllabus for grade 1 would be number sense, addition, subtraction, lengthwise and length weights comparison, time, money, geometrical shapes, and logical reasoning. So it even has questions on logical reasoning, which I find insufficient in this book. So to have a detailed understanding of logical questions, I recommend on having this workbook, this reasoning workbook by MTG. So let me show you the content of reasoning workbook, what all topics are there. So the various kinds of questions that can be asked for logical reasoning would be on patterns, measuring units, geometrical shapes, odd one out, spatial understanding, grouping, analogy, and ranking test. So a child needs a thorough practice on all these 8 topics. So how I go about this, how we practice here is, like initially when we started, like honestly I would like to give you this feedback that one should go ahead with all these exams only if the child is thorough in reading and comprehends the questions. So if you see that the child can read all these instructions, then so the first focus should be on the child's reading skills, and then you should move on to such competitive questions. For example, if you have a look at these questions, so there are sentences and here too. So the child should be able to read it all and should be able to understand also. So here the test would be more on their reading skills and understanding skills than the logical skills, which is ultimately logical skills, right? So if the child can read and comprehend well, they will be able to answer these questions on logical reasoning. So let's have a look at the questions on geometrical shapes. So these are the questions. There are quite tricky questions as well, and these questions have already been asked in the previous year IMO exams. Spatial understanding is quite easy for them because it's more of prepositions than maths here. So the questions would be like, who is in between the which child is in between Latika and Ansh, and who is the nearest to the finishing line, and they even have questions on how many birds are there on the bird, how many birds are flying above the mountains, and so on. How many teddies are outside, how many teddies are inside. So the questions, if you have a look at it, it's more on prepositions. So spatial understanding is done. Then we have questions on grouping, which we have yet, like we haven't touched this topic. And after grouping we have ranking test. So ranking is again quite tricky for the kids, but if they can read and understand the questions, they can do it. It requires a thorough practice, as in all these concepts have, like, you have to make the child practice from all the different topics so that your child is has mastered over logical reasoning for grade 1. So this is about reasoning workbook for grade 1 IMO preparation. Now I'll come back to IMO workbook so that we can have a look at the contents, the syllabus for grade 1. So if we have a look at this first chapter, that is on number sense, then again, when we were practicing it, say 6 months back, when Ayantika was not reading that well, she had difficulty in understanding these questions, and then I was like, oh my god, we need to work so hard on this. But right now, say after 6 months, that she is better at reading and understanding these questions, is easier for her comparatively from where we had started. So here they are like prone to make silly mistakes, so we have to work hard on those questions. Like for here, for example, here you can see there are 9 ones and 2 tens. So if a child is not paying attention to the details, the child will opt for this question, this answer, that is 92, but it's like 29. The answer is 29. So we have to train the child in reading the text carefully. So this is just one example, and there are so many other questions too. So how one should go about all these topics? So just take one topic, say number sense, and explain everything to the child, or how the school is going ahead with that. And once, parallel to the school, you can give these questions and you can ask the child to practice it. If you find difficult, like if you see that the child is having difficulty in a certain question, then the child needs to work on that concept, because every question has a different concept here. So suppose if the child is not able to do something here, you would be like, okay, he needs to work hard on abacus. For example, what comes before 58 and after 56? Then again the child has to work on before and after concept. So that's it. Here we are done with number sense. Then comes addition. Addition is again easier for a child, easier to a child who has a strong number bond, and they have a strong concept of abacus. And just have a look at these questions over here. So the child should be able to, so I would say that in maths, the first topic that one should start should be place value, because see, 73 plus 22, how will a child add? So they have to understand the concept of tens and ones. Some questions on additions are, say, from tens and ones. So instead of writing 20 plus 3, the questions are framed in this format. So even if you are, what I would say here, that even if you are dealing with the addition, the questions won't be straightforward. They won't ask questions only restricted only to additions. They can ask the problems on addition, but they can test the child's concept on place value, right? They even have skip counting over here, which is again addition. Then they have achievers section, which is quite like here you'll find trickier questions, but I'm sure if the child has a strong reading skill, the child will be able to do these questions easily. Then let's come to subtraction. Again, it's very much similar to addition, what I told you about. Questions would be on abacus, tens and ones, and taking away and jumping backward, and so on. So the next topic here is lengths, weights, and comparisons. Again, here you don't need to explain anything to the child. You have to start with the questions, and wherever you see that the child is having difficulty in understanding, you have to explain the concepts to the child. That suppose if we have something like this is how we have to go ahead with it. So this is everything about lengths, weights, and comparisons. Then is time. Time is more of, say, a logical understanding of the questions. So here also the child should be able to read the calendar well, and that's it. So this is time. And then when it comes to money, I would say that when you're dealing with money, you should start it only when your child has a good understanding of, say, numbers, 3-digit numbers, right? So if your child is able to do 2-digit addition and you are stopping there, then I would say that you must go ahead to 3-digit additions, 3-digit number recognition, because here they'll have, say, monies as in notes related to notes in the denomination as in 100, 50, 20, and 5. So, and 500. So if a child is not thorough with, so here if you have a look at these questions, we have a 500 rupee note as well. So a child needs to have understanding of 3-digit numbers to be able to solve questions on money. So because we don't know that right now, so we have just put it on hold. We'll come back to it once we are thorough with a 3-digit number recognition and understanding of 3-digit numbers. So geometrical shapes is something that comes under logical reasoning. So you would find the same topic in this workbook, the reasoning workbook, and you'll have more questions on geometrical shapes. Then the last chapter is logical reasoning. So if you see that there is not much to do, what a child needs to know at this age is he should be thorough with addition, subtraction, and he should be thorough with 3-digit number recognition. That's it. And they should practice a lot of questions related to the topics that's covered for grade 1. So that's it, guys. Apart from this, we are even practicing questions from this mental maths book, because say on addition they have so many questions, on subtraction they have so many questions, they have questions on tens and ones, as I was talking about, because even though if it is addition, the questions can come from place value too. So it has so many questions in it that it will definitely help the child to have mastery over the concepts. So something else that I would like to add on to this video is that one should register, one should have SOF Olympiad Trainer app, and you can register there and you can let the child practice questions. So suppose if your child is practicing questions for IMO, they have so many questions there, and few questions are for free, and for other questions, as in for other exams, because it's a practice paper that they offer on their website. So for other exams you need to register, say, and the price varies, so I'm not sure on that, but that's what I would like to add to today to my video. So that is all that I would like to talk about, guys, and I would try to cover the same for grade 2 students.